not an election. It was a premeditated power grab and a military coup against the sovereignty of the Ugandan people, superintended for the benefit of dictator Yoweri Museveni, who grabbed power by the gun and so despises democracy that he once famously stated that he cannot be removed by a mere piece of paper. On January 15th, he transformed stand for the people's will, as spelt out in the Ugandan constitution, into a criminal enterprise by using the ballot as a smokescreen to continue his brutal military occupation and family cabal. The 71.61% algorithm, a manufactured fiction. The announced results are the product of centralized forgery. We present the following evidence of a predetermined outcome. The impossible register. The Electoral Commission, EC, inflated the National Voter Register to 21.6 million voters to match the National Resistant Movement's, NRM, fabrications, with the ruling party having claimed earlier that it had a membership of 20.1 million. By this claim, the NRM membership register grew by over 100% from the 8 million members that were known as of the 2021 elections. This kind of growth is not only statistically impossible, but also grossly fraudulent. Independents by civil society groups and political parties confirm that the Electoral Commission register is poisoned with duplicates, some people appearing over 50 times to match up with the NRM register fraud. In other cases, biodata of deceased persons, minors, and ghosts, people totally unknown, were identified. The preset target. After shifting his narrative in late 2025 to claim 2.7 million votes were stolen from him, Museveni, in 2021, Museveni deployed an algorithm designed to hit a 70+% threshold. This was a coronation by calculation, not a count. In early 2025, Museveni claimed that Bobi Wine had robbed him of 1 million votes in the 2021 election. At the peak of the campaigns in November 2025, he increased his claim to 2.7 million votes. In 2021, Yoweri Museveni claimed 6,042,898, while Bobi Wine was given 3,631,437 votes was given. Here, Museveni gave himself a margin of 2.4 million votes. In the 2026 elections, Yoweri Museveni claimed 7,946,772 votes against Bobi Wine's 2,741,238 votes. The margin this time around is 5.2 million votes. The difference between the two margins of 2.4 million in 2021 and 5.2 million in 2026 is 2.7 million, the exact figure which Museveni says he was robbed of in the last elections. This can only be possible by a special algorithm of a predetermined result. A chorus of threats. And then you're next. From General Muhoozi Kainerugaba's tweets vowing to crush opposition, to the parliamentary rhetoric of his Patriotic League of Uganda, PLU group, members like David Kabanda, Minister Balam Barugahara, and NRM regime leaders like Speaker Anita Among and Deputy Speaker Thomas Tayebwa, among others, the regime said months ago that the result was decided before the first vote was cast, similar to previous and regional elections.
My name is Irene Soila from the Kenya Human Rights Commission. I proceed from where Monasi has left. Totalitarian tactics, darkness and blood, digital darkness. The nationwide internet shutdown was a strategic blackout to facilitate industrial-scale ballot stuffing in favor of Museveni, enforced disappearances, arbitrary arrests, and detentions of the citizenry, as well as the opposition supporters and leaders. We have overwhelming evidence of Electoral Commission, EC officials, security forces, and the Ghetto Brigade militia critiquing ballots in favor of Museveni while the world was blinded. Systemic terror at polling centers and the decapitation of oversight. The sanctity of the ballot box was desecrated through a coordinated campaign of state-sponsored terror aimed at opposing agents and independent observers. In a blatant display of electoral fraud, agents of the National Unity Platform, NUP, were systematically chased away from polling stations prior to voting or abducted immediately after to prevent them from witnessing the tallying process. We condemn the lawless falsification of declaration of results forms and the only primary evidence of the people's will, which were violently stolen from agents by security operatives. The intimidation extended to the voters themselves. In districts like Mitiana and Butambala, citizens were scattered from their designated polling stations by force to facilitate full-scale daylight ballot stuffing by placing Robert Changulai, Bobby Wine under house arrest and abducting key supervisors like NUP Electoral Commission Chair John Sebufu and other NUP coordinators and vice presidents. The regime ensured that the counting process was a one-sided, fraudulent exercise conducted in total darkness. The unprecedented and illegal militarization of the democratic process. We witnessed a chilling transition from a civilian election to a total military occupation, masterminded by a family cabal. The involvement of the Ugandan People's Defense Forces, UPDF, and special security units were beyond security and moved into active criminal interference, violating both Ugandan and international human rights laws. This militarization was characterized by a wave of high-profile arrests and enforced disappearances, including the arrest of NUP Vice President Honorable Lina Zedriga from her home in Gayaza, the abduction of Honorable Bright Muhuza, Mbarara South candidate, and Jacqueline Tukamushabe. The January 15, 2026 exercise was not an election. It was a military operation designed to bypass the biometric voter verification kits, which were deliberately sabotaged despite costing billions to allow the Electoral Commission to announce results at the National Tallying Center that bore no resemblance of the actual declaration of results forms from the ground. The high cost of the ballot. This electoral coup is stained by the blood of over 50 citizens. We specifically condemn the January 16 massacre of 10 people murdered during a military raid on the home of NUP Vice President, Honorable Mwanga Kivumbi, in Butambala, and many others that lost their lives across the country, bringing to the total to almost 50 out of this election so far, while over 1,000 Ugandans either illegally deported or missing as a result of enforced disappearances. The Ghetto Brigade militia. This militia group, whose official name is Ghetto Structures, reports to Museveni as their commander-in-chief. The direct leaders of this illegal outfit are Major Emmanuel Kutesa and Chris Damulira. On several occasions, they beat up and robbed people who did not support Museveni or who carried Ugandan flags as a symbol of patriotism and resistance against autocratic rule. They also stole declaration of results, forms, and terrorized voters. The Mondas